Welcome to our pathology lecture on cell injury and cell death. Today we will delve into these crucial concepts and their significance in pathology. Let's get started. Here's what we'll cover in this video. 1. Definition and types of cell injury. 2. Cellular and tissue response to injury. 3. Mechanisms of cell injury. 4. Cell death, apoptosis versus necrosis. 5. Implications in pathology. Let's explore each topic in detail. Definition and types of cell injury. Cell injury occurs when cells are exposed to harmful stimuli, leading to impairment of their structure or function. It can be categorized into 1. Reversible injury. Cells can recover if the damaging stimulus is removed. It includes cell swelling and fatty change. 2. Irreversible injury. Severe damage results in cell death with no possibility of recovery. It includes necrosis and apoptosis. Cellular and tissue response to injury. Now we'll explore how cells adapt, react, and sometimes fail to cope with various forms of injury. Understanding this process is crucial, so let's get into this. Cellular adaptation. First, let's talk about how cells adapt to different stressors. This process is known as cellular adaptation, and it takes various forms. 1. Hyperplasia. Hyperplasia is an increase in the number of cells in a tissue or organ. This is a response to a stimulus that demands more cells to meet functional requirements. A classic example is the proliferation of cells in the endometrium during the menstrual cycle. 2. Hypertrophy. Hypertrophy, on the other hand, is an increase in the size of cells. This happens when cells are required to work harder but cannot divide to increase in number. Think of muscle hypertrophy in response to weightlifting. 3. Atrophy. Atrophy is the opposite of hypertrophy. Here, cells shrink in size, often due to reduced demand or insufficient nutrition. Muscles may atrophy after prolonged immobilization, like after wearing a cast. 4. Metaplasia. Finally, metaplasia is a change in the type of cells in a tissue. For example, in chronic smokers, the normal ciliated columnar epithelium in the respiratory tract may transform into squamous epithelium, which is more resistant to smoke irritation. Cell injury. Now, when cells are exposed to stress or injury beyond their adaptive capacity, they undergo a series of changes that can be either reversible or irreversible. Acute reversible injury. Cellular swelling. One of the first signs of cellular swelling occurs due to the failure of ion pumps in the plasma membrane, leading to an influx of water into the cell. Fatty change is another feature of reversible injury, especially in organs involved in lipid metabolism like the liver. Lipid vacuoles accumulate in the cytoplasm. Irreversible injury. Necrosis. Necrosis is one form of irreversible injury. It's characterized by the breakdown of cell structures and the inflammatory response that follows. Apoptosis. Apoptosis, in contrast, is a programmed form of cell death. It's a more orderly process that doesn't usually provoke inflammation and plays a crucial role in development and maintaining tissue homeostasis. Subalterations in organelles. Various organelles within the cell can undergo changes. For instance, mitochondrial damage can severely affect the cell's ability to produce energy, further pushing the cell towards injury and death. Intracellular accumulations. Let's discuss intracellular accumulations. These occur when cells are unable to metabolize or excrete various substances, which can involve lipids, proteins, pigments, and more. Such accumulations can affect normal cell function and lead to disease. Pathological calcifications. Pathological calcifications refer to the abnormal deposition of calcium salts in tissues. There are two main types. Dystrophic calcification occurs in dying tissues. Metastatic calcification occurs in normal tissues due to hypercalcemia. These calcifications can cause dysfunction in affected tissues. Cellular aging. Finally, let's touch on cellular aging. Aging is a complex process that leads to a progressive decline in cell function and viability. It's driven by genetic and environmental factors and involves accumulated cellular damage over time. Understanding cellular aging is important in studying age-related diseases and conditions. Mechanism of cell injury. Now let's examine the primary mechanisms of cell injury. 1. ATP depletion. ATP depletion leads to energy failure, impairing essential cellular functions. 2. Mitochondrial damage. It disrupts ATP production and can trigger cell death. 3. Influx of intracellular calcium and loss of calcium homeostasis. Increased intracellular calcium levels can activate harmful enzymes leading to cellular injury. 4. Oxidative stress. Oxidative stress results from an imbalance between free radicals and antioxidants, causing damage to cellular components. 5. Defect in membrane permeability. Membrane permeability defects compromise cell integrity, leading to leakage of cellular contents. 6. Damage to DNA and proteins. Damage to DNA and proteins disrupts critical cellular processes and can lead to cell death. 7. Cell death. Apoptosis versus necrosis. Cell death can be classified into two main types. Apoptosis, a form of programmed cell death where cells undergo a controlled process, preventing inflammation. This mechanism is essential for normal development and maintaining tissue homeostasis. Necrosis. Uncontrolled cell death resulting from severe damage, often leading to inflammation and disruption of surrounding tissues. Implications in pathology. Understanding cell injury and death has important implications in pathology. 1. Protective strategies. Research and treatment focus on protecting cells from damage, such as antioxidant therapies. 2. Targeted therapies. In cancer treatment, drugs aim to induce apoptosis in cancer cells. 3. Toxicology. Knowledge of how substances cause cell injury informs the development of safer pharmaceuticals and management of poisoning. In summary, cell injury can be reversible or irreversible, depending on the extent of the damage. Key mechanisms include ATP depletion, mitochondrial damage, influx of intracellular calcium, oxidative stress, and defects in membrane permeability. Cell death occurs through apoptosis or necrosis, each with different implications for health and disease. These concepts are vital for understanding various pathological conditions and developing effective treatments. Thank you for watching this lecture. If you have any questions or topics you'd like to see covered, please leave a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest content. Until next time, keep exploring and stay informed.